Since the COVID-19 outbreak in China, hundreds of physicians and nurses rushed to the front line, risking their life and limb to save those infected. They have seared an image of selfless dedication in people's hearts. From the very beginning until now, how have they managed to cope? How are they dealing with the psychological and emotional scars? With all of these questions, I earlier talked to Zhou Ning, an attending ICU physician and cardiologist at Tongji Hospital in Wuhan. He had a close encounter with the coronavirus as he himself got infected, but he eventually recovered. He's still at the front line against viral infections. Let's listen to his story. And I'm joined in Wuhan by Zhou Ning. He's a medical doctor at the cardiology section of Tongji Hospital based in Wuhan. He's now working in the ICU unit for the treating of COVID-19 patients. Dr. Zhou, good to see you.
Good to see you.
After so many weeks in the ICU unit, I'm sure this is a relatively good time for you because things seems to be getting better.
Yes. As you know, that ICU sometimes very terrible, you know. So many patients which is very, very severe and lying in the bed and somebody are very dying. Actually, I don't like this kind of work. Sometimes it makes you very desperate. Some patients dead, some patients survived, but in that case, you cannot do something to help them. So I would feel bad. But so far, we have saved some very severe patients. We have finished 3 patients with support of ECMO, and all of them are survived. So that's very good news for me, and I have some confidence to do more ECMO for the very severe patient.
How many lives have you saved? Have you ever counted?
I didn't count that. You know, in my ICU ward, we have 30 beds, and in the last month, there are more than 60 patients who was treated in my ward. Actually, more than half died. So that's a very bad news. But very recently, more and more patients survived from the COVID-19 infection with the support of ECMO and the ventilator, especially for those young patients.
Yeah.
Is younger than 70s, they have a very high possibility to be saved.
Yeah.
So I guess, at least we saved more than 20 patients in the ICU ward. Yes.
Good for you. That's 20 lives. That's 20 families. That's, you know, the beloved one of many, I guess, we're talking about.
Yes.
Just 20 lives. What is it like for you at the end of the day? I mean, after 18 hours work, almost, going back to where you live.
I haven't seen my son for over 2 months. So I need to isolate from family to prevent they be infected by me. So sometimes I'm very, very tired, but there's still a lot of work need to be done by my teams. So I feel exhausted, but we need to cheer up to do more work. I will tell myself and tell my team members that we need to work because patients are still waiting for us. And more lives need to be saved by us. So that's a strength from inside. That's how we can be cheered up. You know, we don't work for money. We don't work for the other things. We work for lives.
Mm.
That's how we work. That's why we work. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. It's very important. That's strong enough. Actually, that's the strongest words. We work for lives.
Yeah.
Doctor, if I could,
yes.
Dr. Zhou, if I could, another thing about you is, in fact, you were infected. It's not like you were only a doctor or just playing the role of a doctor. You were also playing the role of a patient, a self-healed patient, and a doctor,
yes.
all at the same time. So tell me more about that part
yes.
of your story. How did you know you were infected? What was it like from the very beginning of the rescuing work to the time when you noticed that you were probably being infected?
In the very beginning, that's January 17th, I have a patient who come to see me with a very fast heart rate. We call it a tachycardia. So the heart rate is over 250. That's very dangerous for him. You know, so fast, if the heart rate is so fast, that will kill him. So we did that surgery in January 19, and the surgery is very successful, and he recovered from the tachycardia, and the heart rate is normal. So in January 21, he was discharged. Before the dischargement, he told my nurses, and he said, I had a fever. I had a cough recently, and I just came back. I was lived very close to the Wuhan market. So I was nervous, you know, because in that stage, the COVID-19 is already outbroken in Wuhan. I canceled his discharge and did a chest CT scan for him. He has no symptoms at that time, so I let him go home, and I told him never have a very close contact with your family members and your friends and your colleagues. Just stay home until you have no symptoms, and for another 2 weeks. At that night, I have a very high body temperature, and I test my body temperature is 38.9. I was very nervous at that time. I think I might be infected by that patient. I sleep in bed and call my friends and tell him what I faced. So I did some tests, including the blood test, and get some advices from the experts. But I think the most important thing is not to confirm, but also to confirm that you cannot spread this virus to your family members.
When did you tell them that you were sick?
After I know that I have a fever, and I call them that I have a fever, I have very close contact with a patient who is highly suspected to be infected by the COVID-19. You know, at that time we don't call it COVID-19, we call it unknown pneumonia. So, and I tell them never come close to me, and always close my room doors. So that's the only thing I can do to prevent them to be infected by me.
Later, you move on to stay in another apartment of yours in Wuhan and try to self-quarantine, if I understand right. Dr. Zhou, I mean, for anyone who has been infected with COVID-19, it's important to get support and help, but you try to survive on your own in a way with your professional knowledge. How did you do it?
I don't think that my experience can be shared by everyone. I have a lot of friends who's very good at the treatment of respiratory disease. I call them and get some advices from them. It's not a very severe condition, so I can take out by myself.
After you recovered?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
You have to go through also a quarantine time. So how did you try to adjust yourself to eventually jump again back into the ICU unit?
After 2 weeks quarantine time, my chest X-ray and my chest CT scan are both normal, and my virus test is negative. I was so happy, you know, I was so happy that at that time, and I can go back to work. So I think that's February 8th, and in February 10th, I went to the Tongji Hospital and to worked in the ICU at that time.
What what's it like for you? Because earlier, before you were sick, you were working in the cardiovascular department. After you recovered, you were sent to the ICU unit to take care of life and death issue every day after you yourself faced the possibility of life and death. So what about that change of roles?
Because I have some very special experience, I have a very high possibility to be infected by the COVID-19 before. So maybe I have some very different thinking about this infectious disease from the other colleagues. But you know, even I was infected, I was very mild. So that's very different from the patient in ICU ward. They are very sick. But I think I can understand them more. They are all struggled with us against the virus. We should say thank you to this patient because they fight against the virus with their bodies. And we learn a lot from this patient, and all the human can learn a lot for the experience they fight against the virus. We get some data. We get a lot of data from them, and we can collect a lot of experience and lessons from this patient.
You know, protecting the professionals are extremely important, particularly at a time of crisis. So after going through the life and death possibilities on your own, what are some advices you would like to share with us now? How to best do that?
More than 3,000 professionals was infected in Hubei province, and also more than 2,000 in Wuhan. So that's a very bad issue. You know, if the medical staff was infected, that means less and less doctors and nurses who can take care of the patient. And more important, if the medical staff are infected, they will be scared for this virus. And my advice is for the protection of medical staffs, I think is, firstly, have a good rest before and after work. Don't learn from me. I have no choice because here, Wuhan is my hometown. I have no choice. I need to struggle with my friends, with my colleagues to defeat the virus. That's my hometown. So have a good rest before and after work. Secondly, have a good nutrition to keep you very strong and have a resistance to the virus. And third, if you go out, not stay home alone. If you go out, take face mask and keep a very safe distance with others. I mean, a safe distance means at least 1 to 2 meters. I mean, if you work, if you talk with somebody, don't keep very close, just 1 to 2 meters. That's very safe. And also wash hands, very important, wash hands. This third note. And then finally, if you work in an infectious area, be sure that you were protected very well. You have a very strict protection suit and a mask and the other devices. That's the most important to keep yourself very safe to be infected by the COVID-19.
I see.
There are more than 40,000 medical staffs came from all over China to Wuhan to help us to fight against the virus. But after they came to Wuhan, no one was infected by the virus because they get a very good protection. So that's why I need to share this good news to the international medical doctors and nurses.
Yeah.
Keep yourself safe. That's also battle with the virus.
Yes, keep yourself safe. That's keeping all your patients and also everyone safer. Thank you so much, Dr. Zhou Ning, for sharing with us your personal story and also certainly your insights on the front line. Welcome back. As China reports a peak in COVID-19 infections, life across the country is slowly getting back to normal. Middle school students scheduled to graduate this year will resume studies next Monday in several provinces. Still, all schools have to take precautions against the virus before and after reopening. Earlier, I visited a ballet school in Beijing, the Conservatory of International Style and Cultural Arts. Though classes are still suspended, teachers and dancers here carried on rehearsing. Here I met Flora Zeta Cheong-Leen, who is the founder and the artistic director of CISCA. Cheong-Leen was the first Chinese to be part of the Royal Ballet Company in Britain. She's been doing well in fashion business, but she discovered dancing is where her heart is.
Our choreographer, Dr. Johan.
Dr. Johan, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
How did you decide to stay?
What we are doing here is incredibly exciting, and it feels like we are giving something important to children, to society in terms of making art.
Wonderful, wonderful. And what about for all of you?
And this is Wendy, teacher Wendy and dancer Wendy. She just gave birth to a baby.
You don't look like
She taught me one sentence last night.
What is it?
万难见真情. Right?
What does that mean in English?
Well, it's something like when there's trauma, when there's problems, real heart and soulful people will stick together and fight it together.
There we go. And we have teacher Claire.
Claire Haven from England.
This is the first time, I would assume, for you to experience something like this, here in China.
Yes, but I have no reason to leave. Why should I leave? China is now my home. I live here, I work here, and not everybody can just run away from things. And in fact now, the virus is running out of China, so I'm just glad I stayed. I believe in China.
But how to stay strong, during this process? This is something most of us have never experienced before.
No, but I think it's a time to learn. And I think this experience makes us stronger. It's a time to reflect on, okay, well, how can we make a negative into a positive? Why is it that things like this happen, and how can we change for the future? And even, businesses, we have to look at new models. I think, it's a lesson, but it's a good lesson.
Beautifully said. You have a very strong team. And what about for you?
This is Sean.
Hi, Sean.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm happy that we can come back to teach, and I'm also very happy that we can teach our students online during this difficult time.
Tell me about your school. Your school is having 700 students, but now at a very difficult time, when everybody go home and quarantine. How are you going to operate your school?
Actually, we're pretty lucky because it's during Christmas, after Christmas, then it's Chinese New Year. It's actually a period where we have time to continue this elongated holiday. But staff and my teachers and my dancers for the dance company, we actually have a lot to do. We've just finished Nutcracker and Christmas. Yes. We had to clean up 1,000 costumes. We have to redesign the new production coming along. We have teachers they all have to reinvent themselves. They have to take exams for teaching modern and teaching different Western and Chinese style of dance. We do something called wushu ballet. They have to learn Tai Chi, they have to breathe, they have to choreograph, so we are busy. They can do everything at home.
Yeah, so it's not like China has stopped.
No.
So it's actually a time when everybody is trying to re-streamline themselves. I mean, these parents have to take care of their children because the children cannot go to school. And it's not just 1 week, but rather likely to be 2 to 3 months. So, but these people also have to work from time to time, even though they have temporary home quarantine. So how do you see, how nervous are they? How do you communicate with them?
Yeah, I can see the age group between teens, like 18 to maybe 30. These young teenage to parents, young parents, they've never experienced anything. Everything has been really good. So they are panicking. It's the children, they don't know. They just think, oh, don't have to go to school. Yay. But the older generation, I think, it's okay. It's a calm situation, and we just have to work together. Now look how great this is, so quick that everyone just keeping clean. I've never seen China so clean. I've never seen toilets clean. So it's a good lesson. Sometimes it's a blessing in disguise.
To see the silver lining of the cloud, of course. Yeah. But, you know, tell me, how are you going to conduct your classes? I mean, for ballet dancers to learn, it's important to have the teacher facing the students, and it's almost learning by practicing. So how does that work?
It's a new thing because it's a very physical, and I have to see the students. This is the first time we put everything online, because we started calling each other, messaging each other, and they said, well, Lao Shi, I'm doing this, can you show me? I said, I'll take a picture and then I'll show you. And then I took a video, and gradually I said, well, why don't we just start online?
Yeah, can you hold it? Yeah, and then try to let go. Let go. Yes, practice like that. Yeah? Fancy is tiring. Sophia, try the other leg.
And some of my brave teachers came back against all odds, because my teacher, you will see, she just had a baby. Her baby is so small, but she came back because she said, let's fight this together. We come back, I have to teach the kids. So we teach online for 40 minutes, and we exercise together, and we show them slowly, and because there's a delay in music, so in music-wise we can't do anything, but at least they can keep fit. In all analytical research, if you are fit, it brings your mind to be positive. If you are not, if you're sitting there just laying around and being negative, that doesn't help. So we get, parents are happy, the parents can work, the kids can have this lesson, that lesson. We have even poem work. We have modern. We have breathing classes. We have stretching classes. We have
so you're having more
classes.
varieties, actually, than the usual itinerary, right, for the kids. That's really interesting. How did you come up with all of these ideas?
It's just because I started posting. I said, everyone must exercise. Today, Monday, we do 1, 2, 3. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, we do 4, 5, and 6. I started giving them photographs. I asked my student at home. She has a bar and a little studio. I asked her to take pictures of herself, and the mother is very good. So she's in Shanghai. So from there, I write the post and post it, and everyone started asking, can we see you? Can we do it together? So that's how it's very impromptu. I never thought of putting performing arts online.
I mean, sometimes for people like you who runs a school, you have to be the one who try to encourage and support everyone. But what about for yourself? I mean, in a situation like this, nobody has seen it before. But you have to gather yourself together and be able to come up with solutions and respond to people positively and try to see how you can come out of this. What was it like for you personally?
I was actually in London when it started. Then suddenly I
when
saw,
the COVID-19 started,
And then when I heard about it, I said, that's it, I have to go back.
You didn't want to stay in London?
No, what am I going to do in London? I must come back, have such a big group of people, because it's layers of connections, from the production, from the office staff, from all the teachers, the children, and all the facilitating people who helped us. So I came back, and a few of my teachers, they're foreigners, they decided to come back.
Wow.
And I'm like, in Chinese, 患难见真情. I thought that was so touching.
At difficult times,
Yes.
you see the real
Yes, and
friendship.
people come back.
The reason I'm coming to talk to you, Tian Wei, it's not only because how you function today, but also what was it like for you during the SARS and the aftermath of SARS? Before SARS, you were having extremely successful fashion business here in China. You were one of the very few designer names that the Chinese knew at that time. But SARS made everything changed. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, when you are successful, when you have nothing can surpass your ability, and everything is winning all the awards, and it was just 400 stores. I have 2,000 factories. It's like the bigger the better. Then suddenly, just overnight, you realize life suddenly switch off.
At that time, there were enormous amount of raw materials and textiles that you have stocked in order to produce the product that you need to provide to your customers, and you need to do it on time. But all of this blew it away.
Yes. And all the stuff we have to purchase for the next season was coming in, piling up. Rental per day was in millions. Then we can't ship out. Quotas, everyone stopped because the world is like, don't want to spend any money. So we were like, boom, attack, financial breakdown, and it was just so fast, this retail business. Overnight. Then I kind of realized we have to change. We have to go online.
Before we go there, what was it like for you, I mean, during that process? From everything promising to bum.
Well,
from boost to bust, as they say.
From most people don't understand. As ballerinas, we suffer through blood, sweat, and tears. We are one enterprise. We cannot hire anybody. We cannot have staff. Everything, we have to have 10 personalities, 10 abilities in one body. We suffer through thick and thin. We go to auditions. No, you're not taken. We break down. Years and years of repetition of the same mind, body, and soul. Yet, nobody wants you. We have this trauma constantly. So maybe it's an internal ability. Most people don't understand. Dancers are very, very strong people.
So that helped you?
I think so. I think my strength, my family comes from South America, my father. It was in South America, Jim Jones, mass suicide, a religious cult. Whole family had to leave. Then, of course, there's a lot of different, in England, we were living near central London. There was the Belfast bombing in London all the time. There's been different traumas. So I think that gave me a lot of, and my father's a politician. And he always tell me, it will pass. Everything will pass. So many trauma in the world. I mean, look at this year, from the Australian fires to Brexit. Now it's like everyone exit. It's like a China exit. So, c'est la vie. I always think, can't take ourselves too seriously. We just have to make the most of this change. And since I've been in China, I honestly been very lucky because I have gotten to understand the Chinese way of thousands of years of Taoism, Confucianism, reading a lot about their beliefs. I always feel there's a reason.
I think you try to bring all the positive energy within yourself, assemble them strongly together, and be able to support you, and try to push that energy also to the others around you. This is amazing, Tian Wei. But by the way, you know, you have to support your staff. Of course, the classes are continuing, but still would not be in the scale that they used to be. So this is a business we're talking about. And your teachers, as excellent dancers as they are, they need to have salaries. How are you trying to deal with the realities on a daily basis?
Yes, I've always had this plan that my staff who has been with me longer than 4 or 5 years, and they all have been with me for like 10 years. So I accumulate a month every year for them. So we're using that, and they will not have any, they will not suffer unless they decided to go back to the country and never come back. And we can only deal with whatever we have. I appreciate whoever risked their lives to come back, and we work through this together as one family. And it's, I was talking about it yesterday with my staff, that they are magnanimous, these two, magnanimous, and then my 2 Western teachers, who doesn't want to go back to Sweden, who doesn't want to go back to England. And they kept on saying, China is the best place. In the beginning, it wasn't. We see every country shutting us out. But then, today, every Western person coming back, they have to go into quarantine. So because we have been healed near to the end when everyone's starting. So I think it's a blessing in disguise.
It's amazing. I love your story. And I think it's very courageous what you're doing right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All the best. I hope to see you again without the mask.
I know.
Hopefully
I
that's
know.
soon.
My eyes is like communicating more power. Because then I used to talk, my mouth, it gesticulate, but now it's only eyes.
They are very pretty, by the way. A beautiful story from a ballet school in Beijing. And that's all we have for today. If you'd like to see more, you can try to find us World Inside CGTN into your search engine. Also, you can check out our YouTube channel, our Facebook and Twitter accounts. From me, Tian Wei, and everyone on the team, thanks for watching.